It doesn't matter how old you are. The voice has to be shining. It has to have a certain quality of caressing, and it has to be thrilling sometimes, soft another, but the youthful feeling has to be there. Doesn't matter. I mean, as long as I will have to have that as long as I sing as a tenor. Otherwise, the day you lose that, you have to stop. You know, you have to be able, for instance, in Traviata, just to go and Parigi cara, noi lasceremo la vita uniti trascorreremo. Just to use one passage. Oh, in a more powerful one, for instance, you said, amor, amor, che palpito dell'universo intero. Qui m'appartient, soit donc à moi, soit donc à moi, moi.
This house in Acapulco, it was the idea of the whole family, except Plácido, to make like a trap, to force him to rest. So we say, okay, we are going to make a house, and we are going to come, the whole family here, and we are going to phone him. Oh, you are working there, and we are all here enjoy this beautiful sun and this beautiful sea. So if you don't come, it's your problem. So we force him. He loves the house, because it's 45 minutes from Mexico City, and now we have more vacations than ever. And whenever we have 3 or 4 days, we come here, and we really enjoy it.
The children, somehow, they are involved in the artistic side. Alvaro is a film producer and a director also. Plácido is a composer. He has written beautiful songs, and he has been commissioned to write an opera. And Pepe has been working on a special kind of loudspeakers, something very interesting. ¿Sabrosita? Sí. ¿Qué vas a poner?
Jamaica.
Jamaica.
Even here, he has the time to memorize his scores, because it's one score after the other that he has to learn. He's so relaxed and so happy that maybe half an hour that he can dedicate to his scores is welcome.
After so many years of doing what I do and having the career and the position that I have, I can say I'm happy. I'm happy. There is always in life something that you regret that you haven't made. Personally, I think all the time that you haven't been able to spend with the people that you love, really you regret it at the end, especially when you lose them, you know? When you lose the people, then you say, why I was not able to stay more time with them. And also when you see your children growing and you were not able to spend so many hours of their childhood. I mean, all of a sudden you turn and they are men. Those are things that you regret forever. I guess we are a singing family. We all sing together, you know. There is a tradition in Spain and Mexico, and when all the family gets together, we all sing together. Unfortunately, this weekend, neither my beloved sister, Maria Jose, my brother-in-law, Alfonso, or the children are with us, as they are visiting, just like I was until yesterday, my dear mother in hospital. I wish they were all here. I wish my mother was here also.
Plácido was very, very lucky. He was born with parents, performers that love singing for the sake of singing. The very moment he opened his eyes, he was there in the middle of a musical family, everybody crazy about music. So this was something they give to their child.
I was born in Spain, in Madrid, 21st of January, 1941. Really difficult times, Second World War. Perhaps it's not the best time to be born, but what can you do? My father was an extraordinary musician. He used to play the violin first. He plays the violin in the orchestra. And he really started singing after he plays the violin, and then he found out he has a voice.
Con voces vibrantes nuestro himno cantad, que es canto de guerra y es himno de paz.
A little bit like myself, I start playing the piano, and then later on I find I have a voice. He was a very successful baritone, really. He really was singing, tremendously handsome and with a very expressive voice, with a lot of feeling. He used to have a tremendous facility to make a great diminuendo in a note, you know, so all the girls, they were really like this when he was singing. So there are some things like, for instance, he was singing to a dark-haired lady that said, "Ay, mi morena, morena clara, ay, mi morena, que gusto da mirarla." And really, nobody can sing that better than my father. It was so extraordinary, really. He used to sing this particular piece, which is from Luisa Fernanda, which is a famous composer, Torroba, which later on, he was the one that brought my parents to America. So he's very much, he's part of my life, this composer. And really, I mean, all the ladies, they were really crazy for my father. He has to sing it 3 and 4 times every evening. It was really an extraordinary voice.
A un tiempo le hace traición a usted y a la libertad. La libertad que me pida sangre y dinero usted manda. En cuanto a Luisa Fernanda, lo que ella quiera, la vida.
Of course, my mother's voice was an operatic one, and in fact, she was known as the Queen of the Zarzuela. In 46, they went from Spain to Mexico. We were separated about 2 years, you know, and they went to Puerto Rico, they went to La Habana, and then, when they finish in Mexico, they decide and they want to form their own company, and they want to bring us to Mexico. So my sister and myself, we went from Spain to Mexico. And we arrived in Mexico just 3 days before I was 8 years old. A little after we arrived in Mexico, my parents, they have a singing competition for children. And I went and I sang. I sang a Spanish song, and I remembered I was, maybe we can find a picture of that. I was quite heavy and with short pants, because in Spain we used to, very much so like in England, the children, they used to go with short pants in those days. And I sang, and I win the competition. I mean, I won the competition. And
do you remember what you sang?
Oh, I sang so. Ay, tani, que mi tani, ay, tani, que mi tani, ay, tanita, mi morena gitana, más buena no ha habido ni habrá. Uno y uno, dos y una, tres, no sale la cuenta porque falta un churumbel. So that was, and I won the competition, and little by little, my parents, they realized that I have an inclination for music, so they decide that I have to go to the Conservatory of Music. It was together with the secondary school. Being at the conservatory, I had the possibility to meet Marta.
The only thing when I discovered him was in a rehearsal of Traviata. In the third act, I came to the room where they were rehearsing, and it was a disorganization. Nobody knew their parts. And it was such a mess of a rehearsal. I said, what's going on here? Then, all of a sudden, he took control of everything. He started singing the parts of everybody. So beautiful, with such a musicality, and so sure of himself, that he pulled everybody together. And then he catch my attention. You see, because they say, what a musician. I have taught him, okay, musical comedy, zarzuela, Italian opera, like this. But when he behaved that way, and with a beautiful sense of humor, so natural, so easy. Nothing, pompous. No. He just took care of the situation, beautiful, easily.
The first time Marta and me we sang together, it was a Mexican opera. And I think just during all the time of rehearsals, preparation, we start to go out and, just go to have dinner and lunch and go to the cinema, the way when you are working every day together, we start to see each other, and we start to see that we really like each other,
So one day we were in a swimming pool of a friend of ours in Cuernavaca, and he says, why don't we get married? And I said, why not?
And in fact, we got married, and just shortly after that, we got a contract to go to Tel Aviv. During 2.5 years, Marta sang 180 performances, and I sang 280 performances of 11 different operas.
That was very, very important for him, all these roles, especially not only to learn them, because he learns very quickly, to do them 20, 30, 40, and 50 times. Don Giovanni, he sang it 50 times. Onegin also, Cavalleria. So you know what it means to sing 50 times at that point, the same role? You master completely. You are on stage like in your home. In May of 65, we decided that it was time to have a baby, because we were planning to leave even if we were very happy. So by May, I was already expecting Plácido. And then I say, okay, I'm going to have Plácido. When we go out, let's see what happens afterwards. I realized that Plácido's career was going so fast, and I decided, I'm not going to separate from Plácido, separate from the child, and do a career of my own. It's not my style. So I say, I keep my baby, I take care of his career, and that was the decision I did.
When I left Israel, I don't have any any certainty of what I was going to do, you know. Marta was expecting Plácido in those days, so she has to stop singing, and we don't know what we were going to do. We have already an offer. I had an offer to do a Carmen in Washington, and also, Samson and Delilah in English in Chautauqua.
It's now 30 years that I first encountered Plácido. He came and auditioned for me at City Opera. And when he walked out to do his stint, I was startled. And at the same time, my hopes went up and my defenses went up. Hopes because there was a handsome, young, tall, good-looking man. And defenses because I wanted to steel myself against the possible disappointment. He was extremely musical. He knew whereof he sang. And I immediately decided I had to have this man. We were about to move to Lincoln Center. The whole company was about to move to the State Theater. And I wanted to open with a work by Alberto Ginastera called Don Rodrigo.
You can imagine New York, a contract. I said, I don't know what is Don Rodrigo, but I sign. I don't care what it is, but I sign. I mean, then I got the score, and I realized that it was not exactly melodic. I mean, you cannot say that it was completely atonal, but it was not melodic, and it was very difficult. For instance, you know, I remember, so it says the love duet starts it. Florinda, Florinda, nunca una noche fue tan esperada. You know, now it sounds melodic, but in those days, believe me, it don't sound melodic at all.
So on February 22nd of 1966, we opened at the Lincoln Center, the State Theater, with Alberto Ginastera's Don Rodrigo, and the title role was Plácido. And he looked and really was the Visigoth king. It was a stunning performance, both for him and for the company. It was a triumph. And overnight, he then became a musical household word, as a matter of fact.
So for me, you know, in 66, just being 25 years old, to have the possibility to open that house with this opera and with this tremendous success of public and critic, well, it was everything, you know, to do it that, and in New York, you know. So it was really the beginning of everything.
Now that the boys are on their own, you know, I'm most of the time with Plácido. You know, before it was difficult, but now we travel very, very often together.
Depending which year, I guess I have something between 75 and 80 performances. This is counting operatic performances plus concerts. So it's really the times that I'm in front of the public. I'm not thinking about some television appearances or recordings. It's simply the amount of performances. Out of these performances, there may be about, let's say, 65 operatic performances and 15 concerts. So this is more or less the average that I keep. ¿Dónde vas con mantón de Manila? ¿Dónde vas con vestido chinés?